All right, so I finally got around to watching the movie Trainwreck. Seems it's been very significant, especially with the Philadelphia train wreck and whatnot. But anyway, the very beginning of this movie, it literally, the dad is explaining to the two little girls how uh, monogamy doesn't work, blah blah blah, and then this girl grows up and has a family. But this is Amy Schumer's character, and she grows up to be like just like her dad, basically. But here in a second, it flashes and it says 23 years later, and I knew, and I was like, yeah, you know what? She's probably 9 years old, so I'll just wait until it shows you the 23 years later. And the reason I guess 923 is so significant, this Philadelphia train wreck that happened on May 12th this year, it all has to do with this movie. So it's called Trainwreck, Philadelphia train derailment, but it was at 9:23 p.m. And they've been putting this in tons of stuff. The Pope is coming to America on 9:23, the 266th day of the year, the 266th Pope. He's also going to Philadelphia. That's the last place that he's going to be on his trip. There's a ton of other stuff, but I just wanted to point out why it's significant. And here they show the 23 years later. So I just went to the IMDb and looked it up, the actors. And of course, the girl who plays her is 9 years old, 9-year-old Amy. So she's 9 years old is when the movie starts, and then the whole movie flashes forward to 23 years later. So they put the 923 in the very beginning of this movie even. And I'm not going to do a whole decode again of this movie. I just want to point out a few significant things. So basically the whole movie, so she works for like this magazine company, and she has to do this article and interview this guy about sports or whatever. And her boss thinks it's awesome because she basically says anyone who likes sports is dumb, and pretty much, that it's all stupid and you're stupid if you like sports, and they want you to think, like that's just how girls think or something. But really, I mean, it's terrible because I used to love sports so much, and then when you find out they're all rigged, it's just exactly what she's saying, that you're stupid for enjoying sports because it takes away your brain from like what's really going on. And her boyfriend in the beginning of this movie, or somewhat boyfriend or whatever, is John Cena, and they make him seem like he's gay, like big time. So they follow him through with the whole gay marriage, gay agenda thing, and they even go to the movie theater, which is funny because then they have the Lafayette movie shooter that was at this movie, but they make John Cena seem like he's gay, and even LeBron James. So LeBron James seems like he's so feminine in this movie. He's all about love and everything else. He seems like he's gay too. It's so ridiculous. They make these stars, whatever, these big sport athletes, and they make them really feminine in this movie. And basically the guy that she falls in love with is a sports doctor, and he works on like famous sports stars like LeBron James, Tom Brady, whatever. And he's telling all these guys at this party who he works with, and he's saying all these people, and they're like, woo. And then he says Alex Rodriguez, and they're like, screw that guy or whatever, because they're all Mets fans, and Alex Rodriguez is a Yankee. And I mean, this movie, I'm telling you, there's been so much stuff leading up to a Subway series, the Yankees versus the Mets this year. Even in, like, I made a video about Field of Dreams predicting the Subway series this year, or maybe. But this movie kind of puts me over the edge because her dad is a huge Mets fan, and all of these people in the movie are huge Mets fans. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not from New York, but you just never see it in movies. You always hear about the Yankees, but you never hear about the Mets. So it just makes me really wonder if it really is going to be a Subway series. And think about it. Trainwreck and Subway, Amtrak, they're all trains. It's all to do with train. It's foreshadowing the Subway series, maybe. Who knows? I just found that kind of interesting, so I don't want to say yes, but there's been other things that have led up to it. Whatever, it's the 111th World Series this year, And I've talked about how all of this leads to Queen Elizabeth, and Queen Elizabeth was born on the 111th day of the year, and she's 89 this year. And LeBron James is a big star in this movie. He's nicknamed King James. If you add up King James, it adds up to 89. I mean, that's just a very small amount of stuff, but just kind of mentioning that because I found that really interesting that they would have that. Also, A-Rod, he hit his 666th home run this year, and it was on June 13th. And this movie came out on 7/17. So that is a span of 34 days, which is, they've been foreshadowing this number like crazy. It's all to do with domestic violence and the Civil War type theme they've been putting in the media. So once again, if you had the two New York teams playing, it's like the domestic violence. Also, the New York Mets adds up to 168, just like Queen Elizabeth II. Found that pretty interesting as well. And the Mets are based in Queens, New York, and they were founded in 1962. And Queen Elizabeth is all about 52 and 62. She became queen on 2/6 of 1952. She turned 26 later that year, 74 days actually, or 75 as it was a leap year. She was born in 1926. She was coronated on 6/2, 62 years ago. Even this year, there was somebody wrote an article about how the Queen was dead on 6/2. So I mean, I think the Mets are going to win the World Series, but who knows? Could be wrong, but it just seems like it's been being foreshadowed in a lot of stuff. And I mean, seriously, even the word New York adds up to 111. It's the 111th World Series, and it would be called the Subway Series. And New York's subway didn't even open until 1904, 111 years ago. Even says some might argue that the 1889 series would qualify as a trolley series, but not as a subway series. In the 1889, so the 89 with the Queen again. But anyway, back to this movie here. And I guess last thing I'm going to talk about in the actual movie here is in his house or whatever, in the background, it has the 212 back here. And they show it multiple times in the movie when they go to his room or whatever. It's always in the background. You always notice it, the 212. And that has to do with the Civil War as well. 212 just happens to be Abraham Lincoln's birthday, the 43rd day of the year. So then I thought to myself, why Amy Schumer? I mean, I know she's been around for a while, but all of a sudden she just blew up. Like, she's just like super famous, whatever. And her name in gematria, her real name is Amy Beth Schumer, and it adds up to 161. So 61 and 61. Also, and Pythagorean adds up to 62, which goes along with the Queen stuff. But 161, there's a ton of stuff that adds up to 161. American Civil War even adds up to 161. And I mean, look, she was born on 6/1. And she's 34 years old. The word 34 even adds up to 61. I mean, I'm telling you, just 61. If you go back and watch, it's my Philadelphia experiment. I think it's part 2 in that thing. I talk about the number 61 and 34 and 43. And it pretty much sums up a lot of it. I never did go back and make my recap videos to kind of refer people, but I know that one had a whole bunch of stuff in it. I mean, even like Hulk Hogan, 61, Roddy Piper, 61. I mean, it's been in the news like crazy. It's just kind of strange that it all kind of goes to 9/23, and 9/23, they've been trying to make you think it's the end of the world and all this. And the last movie that she was in besides Trainwreck was Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. Even the TV, it says her first TV appearance was Live at Gotham, like Batman. And then, the guy who shot up the movie, the Trainwreck movie, was compared to the Batman shooter. And the Batman shooter was literally just in the news because he got sentenced and all that. So, I mean, it's for sure planned. It's so ridiculous. I wish more people could understand it. But I guess that's why I'm making these videos, to learn myself and also to help others and learn from others. So, now that I'm thinking about it too, um, even like Jared from Subway got arrested, the Subway guy, whatever. That's just funny to me. Like he just recently got arrested or whatever for child porn or something. I remember reading about. But anyway, I forgot to mention too about this movie, the 212 in the background. I talked about Abraham Lincoln and whatever. His birthday was on 212. But this movie came out on July 17th in the United States. But then there was the shooting or whatever that happened at this movie, and it was on July 23rd, 2015. And if you go from 212 of this year to July 23rd, the day of the shooting or the Trainwreck shooting, 161 days, just like Amy Schumer, just like American Civil War, even just the mirrors of 61. And actually, I've always wanted to just talk a little bit about this. The mirrors, like people say, oh, why the mirrors? The mirrors, you got the as above, so below. But you ever notice how in the United States we do everything different? We use inches, other countries, they use the metric system or whatever. But also, even when you write our dates, like 9/11, we write it as 9/11 and they write it as 11/9. Or like even our speed limit, is most places is 55 miles an hour, and that's actually 88 kilometers per hour. I mean, I honestly think they do it just so they can kind of double code it as well. Just wanted to point that out, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I talk about the mirrors, and I never really explained what I'm talking about. So, and I guess it's not. I guess what I was just mirrors, but it just seems like America or the United States does. We do a lot of things like different than other places do, and it seems like sometimes we make them harder, and it just makes me wonder if it's like that for a reason. It's coded so it can be kind of double coded or whatever. But anyway, man, my power went out for about 4 hours here, so I'm surprised this video even is saved on here. So I'm just gonna end it right here. I wanted to add a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm just going to make a whole nother video. I guess it'll make sense. But it's all about the number 58. I seen on Zachary K. Hubbard's videos about the number 58 and all these theater shootings. And Abe Lincoln was shot in a theater. And we've been talking about Obama maybe being assassinated sometime soon and whatnot. But I found a little disturbing things. Because when I was looking through my notes of the number 58, I found some stuff about earthquakes and Philadelphia and whatever. So I probably have to make it tomorrow night. I don't have time.